one. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the the Business Corner here at Sadhana. And my special guest tonight is Carmen Singh, coming in from Perth, Australia. So it's actually her morning there. We can see the morning light coming in. Thank you so much for working with me on the schedule. And we actually met through a Facebook group, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about, is how you can make connections to people through Facebook groups in order to grow your business, in order to start your business, in order to just make connections like we did to help support your business. So, Carmen, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Suzanne. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. The reason being is because exactly like what you said, right? So we're going to be talking about how to use Facebook, or Facebook groups in particular, like specifically, to help you attract leads or find your first or next clients, right? And the reason I'm really excited or really passionate about talking about this topic is because now I'm a business launch coach. So I work with a lot of startups or people who want to start a business, who are still in the beginning stages of building their business. And a lot of times, what I see in new business owners is that, we get so overwhelmed by, a lot of very complicated things. So you feel like, in order to start a business online, you want to build your website, you have to get your social media in a row, you need to have the packages, you need to have all the fancy, complicated system in place before you can actually start getting clients and getting leads and stuff like that. And, a lot of people really get tripped up just because of this, because it's not easy, to get all the stuff, in line, try to get a perfect website, get the perfect photo shoot, get the perfect branding and stuff like that, right? And the reason why I really love talking about how to use Facebook and Facebook groups to start attracting your leads and finding your next clients is because you don't need all that stuff to get started, right? You can get started immediately right now, really just using what you have at the moment. Right, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a background story of, how I came about this idea, basically how I started my business. So Facebook groups is really the way, like it's the how I got started, right? That I found my first clients and my first few clients actually from the groups. And so my background is in brick and mortar. So I had a retail business before this, right? And that was quite a few years ago. And in 2015, I decided to sell my business, and along with, all the stuff that I own, to go on like a year-long travel with my partner. So and whilst on traveling, while I was traveling in Europe, I really felt the urge of wanting to start something, right? But the thing is, being on the road, it's really hard to start any form of business, right? And that was how I sort of stumbled upon the idea of actually starting a business online. And, so I was thinking about it, what expertise or what sort of knowledge do I have that I could actually start a business with, which, I'm sure a lot of you, your audience are, sort of in the same position. You've got great knowledge, you've got great expertise. You want to get out there and start, getting leads and clients online, right? So I was in the same position as you are at the moment. And so then when I started, when I still had my retail business, I was hosting weekend workshops and stuff like that to help other business owner launch their business. So, then I was, because my business got really successful quite quickly. So, and then when I was, thinking about my business idea, I thought that was what I could provide, right? So I could continue doing my business launching, coaching and stuff like that, but just online. Now, when I first started, obviously, like everyone else, I had no audience. I had no email list, right? And all I thought, the first step I thought I have to do is to start a website, right? So that's always the first step that, people feel like they need to do, right?
And I want to just back up on a couple of things that you were saying.
Of course.
our audience, which is, first of all, that, used to be, and I'm not sure if everybody's aware of that, a lot of businesses have started going into groups. It used to be that the big way to start up a business on Facebook was pages. And now everybody's doing groups. So if you're not in the Facebook groups, or you only have a Facebook page and you think that's how you're going to promote your business, things have sort of shifted in Facebook world for the business people, and all of the businesses are really doing groups because it's just a way to have more interaction with their customers, more features to really interact, or just with people who are interested in what they do. And then the other thing that you mentioned was having a mailing list. And for people who work online, a lot of people measure how successful their business is by the size of their mailing list. Because a mailing list is how you can basically for free stay in touch with your customers, and they're people who have opted in and said that they are interested in what you do. They're a very valuable part of your business. So what Carmen's telling us is, there's a lot of work that goes into building things like developing a group. Like I've developed my group. It's been a year now. I have 140 people. It takes a long time to create a big active group. My group isn't very big still. I'm not necessarily going for big. I love that it's active. But this whole idea, what she's saying is, when you get into the online world, people will tell you need to start building your list. You need to get a website. You need to have
you still need to do all that stuff. You still need to do all that stuff, as you go, but you don't need to feel like that you have to wait until you've got a perfect website, or like a 1,000 people email list, or a 1,000 people group in order to start getting clients and making money, right? Because cash flow is just important especially for a small business, right? And in order for you to grow, you have to really get out there really quickly and just start getting clients and honing in on your craft and, getting money coming in. Right. So that's just that. So, a lot of people feel like I have to wait till I've done this. I have to, get all the stuff ready before I can actually get customer. And that's not true. And that's why, like you said just now, so there's a difference between Facebook page and Facebook groups, right? I always call the Facebook fan page like a Facebook business card, right? And that is important. You need to have that, and I'll tell you why later on. And where else the Facebook groups are communities on Facebook, which people like you and I, set up based on a certain topic or a certain interest. So people actually join these groups because they're interested in a topic which the group is formed around, right? And when you think about it, if you can figure out who your ideal clients are and what their interests are, essentially they've already grouped themselves up. They've already sorted themselves out. They've already told you, okay, so my interest is yoga, and my interest in healthy eating, and that's all. So they've already sorted themselves out. So there is no more convenient way. So building an email list or forming a group is essentially building an audience who are interested in the topic that you have to talk about.
I kind of found that I didn't actually totally know, I sort of generally knew what I wanted to talk about, but it was in the process of actually talking to people.
Talking about it, exactly.
To figure out, the things that resonated, the things that people were really interested in. And then, there are all these things in my head that I for years thought about, and then finally I had to articulate them, and surprise, surprise, they weren't as smooth as I thought they were in my head.
Yeah, cool.
Figure out the things I could be more articulate on and more clear on too.
Yeah, definitely. And also that's also one of the reasons why, I really encourage people to go out into group and start posting and talking to people and, stuff like that. Because the more you actually get to talk about your message, the more you can refine it and then hone in on your message and really then figure out what is it, what is it that you really feel passionate about, talking about, and, what is it that you want to share or express, or, what would be your brand, like culture or your mission, right? So back to the story, why why I'm telling you this story, because, I want you to see how important, or like, what a big difference it could actually make for your, business. Like, now and then versus in a few weeks, when you actually start using the groups to, start like, exploring different, like, explore different groups, getting in there, and then, start getting the work on, you could actually really see a difference really quickly. And so, like, as I said, in the beginning of my business, right? So I had no email list, like, Suzanne just mentioned about. So that's about the email list. Like, people always tell you have to build an email list. So in the beginning, I didn't have any. I didn't have a group. I just set up a business fan page. All I was concentrating on was on my website. So I spent a long time. I think it was like close to 3 months, really. And, just teaching myself how to build a website, how to, do all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And, finally, when I actually, got the website completed, and I launched it, and I thought to myself, okay, what now? Like,
nobody came.
yeah. It's like, there are billions of other websites out there, right? And, it's very different from when you have a retail business. Like, when you have a retail business, you have a shop. When you open your door, people walk past your shop every single day. So they see, oh, there we go. There's this new business. Maybe I should try it out next time, right? But when you actually have an online business, that doesn't really work, because people don't really stumble upon your website and go like, oh, wow, look at that, right?
People think that, like, they'll get somehow mysteriously into Google or something like that. And
exactly.
And actually, I used to do website development, design for people.
Wow.
And I saw it as, doing that website design for people. It's like, I build these websites for people. They would put all the money into building the site. And then
what is your plan?
All about marketing it or promoting it. And so it was just sort of like, there's literally millions of other websites out there.
Exactly.
And you're not going to get to the top of the Google rankings if you don't really play the game. Like, you have to be a pretty big player to get up there. You have to really, niche yourself exactly on keywords. In other words, you have to think about it in advance. Exactly.
Exactly. So as compared to like a retail business, like a physical business where you have a physical presence, you have to actively get your website out there, right? So obviously, as soon as I launched my, website, I sort of figure that out. Like, I sort of like, oh, that's not right. No one's coming. What am I doing with this website now, right? Okay. So that was really when I first sort of found the groups, and that was how I started to participate in groups, because at first I found all these online like entrepreneurs groups, right? That I really at first was just in there to participate and to learn and to get support from the other people, because they're like amazing people in there, so talented with all sorts of different like talents. They know website building, they know like SEO, they know everything, right? So at first I was really using the groups to do that. I was learning, I was asking questions, and as soon as I started doing that, I started to learn more and more, and you learn very quickly. Right.
Exactly. It's in these groups where, people are so willing to share, and it's part of their business building to share, so that they can feel like, oh, I really know about running Facebook ads. And then you're like, do I want to really learn how to run Facebook ads, or just want to hire that lady who seems to know what she's doing?
Exactly. So, I mean, we I'm sure a lot of us, a lot of people in your audience, you are already in, various different groups, right? So you're probably in there right now just to participate, get support. Perhaps you are already giving support, just to belong to a community, which is great. And, that was how I started out as well. And as I learned more and more, I felt like, I wanted to give back. So as, slowly, I started to see questions which I can answer and help out. And, slowly I started to think, hey, it would be cool if I see all these amazing people sharing their tips and tricks and hacks and stuff like that. And I thought, I want to really contribute as well. So I then started sharing business launch strategies and stuff like that as well, right?
I think also
And
what happens when you're answering those questions and you're sort of consistently see a lot of times questions come up again and again is you start to
yes,
see where your own interests lie by sort
yes,
of like, okay, here's the scroll of questions that come day after day. And then you are drawn to certain topics over and over again. That sort of
yeah,
helps you to figure out where your expertise lays, where your interests lay, what you're learning about.
definitely. And also, you being in the groups with your ideal clients or people who who may be your target audience, you get to learn all about their frustrations, their problems, their pain points, the questions they're asking, the language that they're using. So, being in the groups really not only helps with, building your visibility. It also help you with, really, like Suzanne said, getting in touch with what is it that most interests you. What are the questions that actually you find yourself keep drawn towards answering over and over again and helping people out? What are those things? So they really help a lot, right?
I
So
also think that people should be aware that, some like you had a successful business. And so there was like, oh, helping people launch a business. That was like a natural move for you. However, a lot of people, they sort of feel like, oh, I'm new to, teaching yoga. So I can't, you know, how could I start a business when I don't have the experience? But there's always somebody who's like just below you.
exactly,
Always somebody who was there where you were yesterday. And there's often that person who's one step up is a better person for them to talk to. Like, it's great to talk to the people who have really made it, but it's also wonderful for people to connect to that person who's like, wow, I was there 6 months ago where you are, because they're coming into a very similar environment. Whereas, like, for example, with yoga teaching, you know, I started I started studying yoga 25 years ago. It was so different. And so
mm.
a lot of what I'm talking to people about, they're probably not really the experiences that they're having getting started today.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also like, so I run a course called Thriving Connection, and that's the course is all about, showing up in Facebook groups, getting leads and clients, without being all salesy and, like spammy, right? And one of the things that I, went through with the students were that, I know a lot of people have difficulty showing up because they feel like, oh, who am I to talk about this topic, and who am I to share about my strategies and my stuff like that if I've only just started sort of the journey myself. Now, we all wanted to start our business, or we are building our business for a reason, right? So a lot of times it's because you have went through like a discovery journey, right? So you start at some point, you started your journey, and then you realize something, and then you arrive at a spot where you feel like, hey, I gotta share this with somebody, right? Because you feel like, if I were, like looking back half a year or a year ago, you'll feel like, what I know now will mean so much for me back then. And a lot of times, you who you are half a year ago or a year ago is exactly who your dream client or your ideal client should be, right? So and back then you didn't know all these things that you learn and know about right now, right? And also the modern world of expert now is very different from like it's compared to like decades ago, right? I gave an example in my course. So, assuming that you are a person, you are a busy mom, and you have a family, you are a professional mother who works your 9 to 5 or 7 to 7 sometimes, and then you are trying to, or you want to lose weight and eat healthier, right? But it's really, really hard for you to fit all these exercise regimen, and then how to like new diets and stuff like that in your daily life, right? So then you go online, and then you try to search for people who can help you. Now, you may come across, say for example, you come across two different people, right? So one is like a like a medical doctor who specializes in, how to lose, like, the mechanic of, the chemistry of the body, how to lose weight, and what food does to our body. Now, this person has like 20 or 30 years of, studies and research and, experience under a belt, right? So this person is definitely an expert, right, in the field. That's no argument about that. Now, you may also come across the second person who is a mother, right, who has 2 kids of her own, who gained so much weight after her baby, right? And 2 years ago, so she's decided to, no matter what she does, she decided to want to lose weight, right? And then in 2 years' time, she successfully maybe lose 30 kilos of weight, and she's looking, pretty fabulous right now, right? And she is online doing courses, and, I'm sharing her recipes and stuff like that, right, to help other mothers do the same thing. Now, this person has only started her journey 2 years ago, and she's definitely not a medical doctor, and she's definitely not have, decades of experience in her field, right? What she has is the journey that which you can relate to, because that is the result that you want to get. Now, which person are you going to go and hire? Is it this medical doctor who has 30 years of experience and know all about, the body chemistry and, what exercise supposedly is good for losing weight and, how you should eat and stuff like that? Or is it the mother of 2 who've actually, done something herself and has achieved the result that you actually want, right?
I love
so
how
when
you
we
explain that it's somebody who's gone through the same journey as you.
Exactly.
I think few people sort of diminish their own journeys and how important
Exactly.
they, or it's almost the opposite, where their journey is so private to them and so personal that they're very reluctant to share and open themselves up to criticism about it. Because they'll see, like, for example, in yoga, I just saw an article about a guy who was saying, like, oh, rock star yoga teachers are so horrible. These teachers that teach at these big, they have all these clients and they have a big name, and that's not really where their real teaching is at. And I'm thinking, like, yeah, but you know what? 2 years ago, that was the thing that you loved and you were attracted to, and now you've become disillusioned with it. But would you have ever started yoga if there hadn't been,
it was not for
appealing people? And then, I think that that's a point where people kind of, they don't want to talk about the fact that, it was painful, it was personal to be let down by someone. And so I think that there's a lot of people who are reluctant to share about that, and that is that pain that you went through. That's the thing that people are looking for a solution to.
Yeah, exactly. And also, a lot of times it's this that actually connects to your audience. They have to feel like they can relate to your story. They can connect to your story because they may be going through the same thing right now, right? And they need to feel like you understand them. And you, by sharing the story, your own journey and your own story actually helps you connect or attract the people who most need your help. So if you feel like you are, you want to be in business, or you want to start to serve other people or to help other people, it may be essential for you to share your story, right? And yes, when you talk about criticism and stuff like that, when you put stuff online, there will be people who will like and dislike you, or who will agree and disagree with you. But that's the thing that we have to be okay with, right? Because if you are putting stuff out there all the time, which you don't either get a like or dislike, that means you are not really putting anything out there, right? You're not really attracting the people who you want to attract, and you're not really repelling the people who you want to repel, because repelling and attracting and repelling is important as attracting the people that you want, because you don't want people who don't belong to your space or who's not in the same vibe with you to come into your world and want to work with you, and later on realize that, hey, you're actually not my kind of people, right? So you putting stuff out there and having people disagree with you and, you know, stuff like that, it's a good thing because you know that they are not your people.
Makes you become more clear on your own message, because
exactly,
if somebody challenges your message, then you have to stop and think about it and
ask
decide,
yourself,
do I need to change my point of view, or do I need to push
or do I
back
feel so strongly about this
yeah.
that I'm going to stand my point, you know? And then if you do, then you've found your message, you know, like you know what is it that you want to talk about, right? So that's really important. So with showing up in groups, right? So basically, we want to talk about, so you can basically find any sort of audience you want in the group. On Facebook, right? I've got some very interesting statistics that I can share with you. There's just a little things that I put in the course, right? So in March 2017, the statistic was this, that there were about 1.94 billion monthly users on Facebook, okay? That is approximately about 1/3 of the world's population, right? So if you think about it, and as of May 2017, about 1.28 billion people log onto Facebook daily, and most of them multiple times a day, right? And so therefore, Facebook remained to be the most popular social media platform out there. So which brings us to the conclusion that whoever you are targeting, like whoever your ideal clients is or your target audience is, you can find them. You can find them on Facebook, guaranteed, right? Unless if you are targeting someone who's under the age of maybe 12 or over the age of 75, right? Okay.
And
unless it's that.
There's certain groups that aren't particularly keen on Facebook, like the, you know, sort of younger, like the 20-year-old crowd. They're not super into it. So if you're like, really, that's like where your audience is, they're not big Facebook users.
Yeah, I mean, they everybody has a Facebook account, right? So regardless of whether or not they spend more time on Instagram or if they spend more time on, you know, Twitter, not really. I think not a lot of people spend a lot of time on Twitter now anymore.
Still big.
Yeah, exactly. Almost everybody you know at least has a Facebook profile, right? So if there is one social media platform that you want to sort of get started, or like, you know, just spend your focus, your time and your, you know, user focus on in the beginning, then Facebook is great, because probably you yourself are using Facebook at the moment, right? A lot of us are. A lot of us, we log onto Facebook multiple times a day. We involve ourselves in groups, and, you know, we have a Facebook fan page maybe and stuff. So start with something that you really enjoy doing, right? And so, and being in, you know, like trying to get into the groups and, you know, attracting leads and clients, it's really more than that. It's also helps you a lot if you're still trying to figure out your message, or what is it that interests you, or what is it that you want to do. Because just being in the same group as your target audience or your ideal clients or people who you want to work with or help or, you know, connect with, it really already helps you so much if you just, by being there, observing, you know, gain a better understanding on what their problems are. What are the questions that keep coming up over and over again, like we discussed just now, right, Suzanne? Like, you know, what are you helping?
Because how you started a major forum, I started to think about where were the places I hung out, what were the questions, what were the questions I was always looking for answers for, and that people were asking over and over again. It is very useful to kind of see like where interests are. But I'm kind of curious how you know, okay, great, now you're in a group, like how are you going to make any money just off of talking to people?
Yeah, no, that's great. So I'm going to give you 3 steps to attracting leads and clients from Facebook, right? So I love steps because they're really easy to follow, and they really give you a big picture of what you need to do. And, you know, these 3 steps are find, attract, and connect, right? So I'm going to go in and talk about more about each. So firstly, the first step is to find, which is to find where your dream clients or your target audience are hanging out on Facebook. Now, I know that probably maybe a lot of you guys are still trying to figure out your message or what is it that you want to do. So maybe this part is not as clear. And like I told Suzanne just now that, I'm going to share with you this worksheet, the clarity worksheet that it's actually, from my course. So I stole it and I rip it out of the course so that you can make use of it later on. So I'll get her to share the link with you later on. But firstly, you have to start somewhere. You have to start, you have to find the people who you would like to, who you feel drawn towards to, and start being around them, right? Even if you're just still trying to figure out a message, that's fine. You have to figure out who is it that you want to help, right? So step number one in the find stage is to figure out your who and your what, right? So who do you want to help? And the second question is, what do you want to help them with? All right. And then after you've done that, so my clarity worksheet will probably help you with that, and involves questions like, who do you want to serve the most? Who do you want to help the most? What sort of problem or frustration these people likely have, which you think you can help, or which you think you want to help with, right? And how are you so what sort of problem can you help them solve, right? So it doesn't have to be that, what is it that you're qualified? Because sometimes we think about questions like that, right? Oh, maybe this is something that I want to do, but I'm not qualified to do that, or I'm not an expert to do that. I don't want you to think about all that, right? So because a lot of times we really underplay our knowledge a lot, right? And especially we always feel like,
that are easy for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't realize how hard they can be for other people.
Exactly.
It's very difficult for people to come to a realization like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a really good writer. And, I used to work professionally as a writer, and it was kind of shocking to me when I got in the business world and people would come to me and I would read their stuff. I'm like, wow, this is really hard for a lot of people. It was so easy for me.
Yeah, exactly. But no one really ever comes out and say, hey, I'm a great writer. I think I'm a great writer. I can help a lot of people. No one really ever say that, right? Most of the people would just like, I think I'm okay with it, and then when people come and ask you or ask for your help, and you kind of go like, you can't do that? Really? So yeah, that's the thing. So I don't want you to think about, so when you are trying to figure out your who and your what, so who is it that you want to help with, who is it that you want to help, and what do you want to help with? When it comes to the second question, what do you want to help with, I don't want you to consider what am I qualified, or what are my expertise are that I can help with that. So I don't want you to think about all of that. I want the first answer that you can put out there. What do I feel most passionate? Who do I feel most passionate about serving? And what do I want to help them with? Okay, so that's that, right? So figure out your who and your what. And your second task, your second thing to do is to figure out, where are these people hanging out on Facebook? Right? Where are these people hanging out on Facebook? So put yourself in your dream clients or your target audience shoes. Think about it. So what are their interests? What might they want to be a part of? What are the parallel niches that they may be, in or interested in? So for example, if you teach yoga and you want to target, say, you want to help who you want to serve, are professional women who who may be interested in, say, for example, you want to start like a online yoga course, right? So you want to help professional women who are very time scarce to get into yoga and then learn about simple yoga techniques, which they can do at home, 15 minutes a day or something like that, whatever it is. For example, if that's who you want to target, then consider that what these professional women may also be interested in. So if they are the people who are interested in yoga, for example, would they perhaps, be interested in, other spiritual stuff? Maybe they're interested in meditation. Maybe they're interested in journaling. Maybe they're interested in vegan diet or low carb diet and stuff like that. So put your ideal clients in the center of the equation, and then start listing down all the things that you think your ideal client or this person, right, this avatar, this person may be interested in.
And then through this customer avatar thing before, when you get started, a lot of people, they kind of basically just describe themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're kind of solving your own
a lot
problem.
of times we started our business because we've went through the journey, and we look back and we go, hey, I need to share this, right? And a lot of time our ideal client or our dream clients are actually people who we were like 6 months or a year or 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So it's an excellent point. When you think about this, think back. What were your interests back then? What were you searching online? What sort of books were you reading? And when you were thinking about getting into the yoga stuff, what is it that, you were looking for? Think about that yourself. So it should make things so much easier, right? Because you've already been through that. You're just like really just thinking back, who am I like 6 months or a year ago? Right? So, and then you want to then utilize, there's a very handy search bar on Facebook, right? So when you log onto your profile, there's one on the top left-hand side, right, that says find, I think. Then just type in your keywords. So for example, you want to go a vegan diet or a meditation group or, whatever. Search, click on search, and then down there, it come out with all sorts of different results. Some are Facebook pages, some are messages, some are posts, some are groups. So there should be a little button there that you can just click on as groups, right? So when you click on it, then it will just only display the groups option. Then you can go through the groups and see, check out the description and see if there's anything that you feel, hey, this may be quite interesting, I want maybe join and just go in and just, check out the conversation and see how the vibe is in there, right? So that's step number one, is to find. I don't want you to obsess over the process of, how do I find the perfect group and stuff like that. There is no perfect group, right? You have to go in there and just have a feel. Sometimes the title, the description can sound perfect. It can sound like it's exactly the people who you want to talk to, but once you get in there, it's not vibing with you. It happens
I've also
sometimes
found
too.
one of the things, there's, I go through, there's a yoga teachers group that I often find people for. And one of the things that makes it a good fit for me is because it isn't totally a good fit for me. And so when I see other people complaining about the group, and they're complaining about the things that I built into my group, then I'll often, message them and kind of like, I noticed that you were discussing how you were unhappy with, certain qualities that are going on in this group, and I want to invite you to my group because I have a different feel going on. There's a different kinds of experience happening there. So if you're in a group and it doesn't quite feel like a good fit, but it's the right people, that that can be a good way to start to notice, like, what can I offer that this group, this big group, usually you're going for the bigger groups, what can I offer that they're not?
And also, that's what you brought up is exactly what we're going to be talking about later on. It's all about connection, right? So when we are trying to attract leads and clients from various different groups, right? I don't want you to think about, that you are in there to sell or you are in there to just do this. You cannot have that.
Yeah, you can get in a lot of trouble and get kicked out of the groups.
Exactly. You cannot have that intention, right? If there is one word that you need to remember, then it's connection. You are in there to build connection ultimately that will lead you, and also attraction. So you are not actively pursuing stuff, you're attracting people to you, you're attracting your leads and clients to you, which brings us to step 2, which is attract. It's to put out messages that will help you bring your dream clients or your leads to you. Because a lot of the traditional, so there are two types of, like, you know, marketing strategy. Either you can use pull marketing or you can use push. So a lot of the traditional marketing strategies are about pushing. So like the TV advertisement and stuff like that, they are pushing the message to you. Yeah, they're like, take this, you know, buy from me, and that don't really work now anymore, really, because people,
you have to have a lot of dollars to make those.
Exactly. And also people are very good at tuning things out, right? Because we receive so much information every single day on television, on everywhere, that we really just, you know, we sort of automatically filters it, right? So the really effective, especially on social media. So on social media, people are there to connect and socialize with each other, right? And what works really, really well for you is when you put out messages. So your messages are like magnets, right? They will help you attract people who are your kind of people, who are the people who are attracted to your messages to you. So your only job and your only focus is really to focus on putting out the message, right? To putting the things out there. So how can you do that? So one of the most, like the simplest and most straightforward way is, once you are in the groups, right? Once you found the groups that you want to show up in, and I don't recommend you to be in like 50 different groups, right? I would usually say just pick, you know, maximum 5, best if it's just 3, you know, and just focus on showing up in those groups, right? And giving value and posting things, valuable things that's sharing your knowledge, your journey, your expertise with other people, okay? Because, I mean, if you are in like 10, 50 different groups, you are spreading yourself out too thin. And one of the major things that you have to keep in mind to make this, you know, Facebook groups marketing, I don't really like to use the word marketing very much in this, but, you know, that's how you understand it, work for you, is if you are showing up consistently, right? Because you're basically a stranger when you are hanging out in groups to other people. How, like, you know, how will other people get to know you is when they keep seeing you showing up with valuable things over and over again. And then, you know, you get to build the know and like and trust factor, where people, you know, just keep seeing you giving and sharing your expertise, your journey, and then they feel like, this person, like, you know, if you had a similar journey as me, okay, so I'll feel like you really understand me. You really understand what is it that I want, or you're really speaking to me. So
it's also nice if you're sort of fighting on someone's behalf, where maybe they're kind of you thinking it privately, and you're out there like really spelling the message out that they kind of have in their head. So
yeah.
When you show up and you're showing people like, you know, I'm speaking the words that you're too scared to say.
Yes.
Really, you know, that's where you're sort of like really connecting with them. Even if
yes.
they're reading, I've had a lot of people tell me, wow, it's so valuable what you're doing. And it's weird because they're not participating in my group so much,
yeah,
but they're watching, they're reading. So, you know, connection, it can be very one-sided. So when you're showing up in these groups, you don't assume that there aren't people who are reading who would be very interested in connecting with you. Just because they're not commenting on your post doesn't mean that they're not reading it.
No, definitely not. And also, yeah, you've brought up such a great point. One of the stuff that I teach in my course, and also one of a very popular post that I share, was the fact that actually a lot of people in a lot of these groups, they are what we call, again, not a great name, but it sufficiently describe what it is. So they are lurkers. So they are there lurking in the shadow or in the dark. So because a lot of people are not really very, you know, it could be easy for us to like and comment in other people's posts, but it could be quite difficult for some people, right? So, but while they're not interacting with you or like, you know, liking your post and stuff like that, doesn't mean that they're not reading it, and doesn't mean that your message is not, like, you know, helpful to other people. And I actually personally have had like clients and students who I've never heard of before, right? I have never seen them commenting or liking any of my posts, never. But all of a sudden, out of the blue, they'll decide that they want to work with me. And, every time when I ask them, so, what made you contacted me, or what made you do this and that? And then they would always say, oh, they have been following me or reading my post for however long, right? So that happens.
Just because we're going to wind up fairly soon, and I want to kind of get to like what the next step is.
Yeah,
But,
sure.
Because I think there's a lot of people who probably are already doing this just because they love what they do. So how do they now take the fact that they're giving a lot of value? In fact, I've seen people do this. When it was one of the things that made me start my business, is that I ran this huge discussion board, the largest and longest running discussion board related to yoga. And there were people who were showing up every day, what they say, giving value, like they were coming in, they were experts, they would just share their knowledge, they loved it. And then they weren't building their businesses. And I thought, this is ridiculous. This person, people come here just to hear what this person is saying, and yet they have a business. So how do you actually turn that into a business?
Yeah. Okay. That's a great question. So a lot of times, like I said, right, a lot of people are putting out message, like you said, putting message out there. And sometimes, right, not sometimes actually, quite often people say, oh, no, this doesn't really work for me. I don't know, it never resulted in any sort of lead or, clients and stuff like that, right? And then there are two questions that I will always ask. So which brings us to the third step as well, right? So the third step is connect. And by connecting, I mean to open all channels for people to contact and connect with you. All right. So the two questions I usually ask people if they tell me, oh, I'm showing up in groups, it's not helping with me with my business, first is, are you in the right group? Right? So are you actually hanging out in the right group where the people are actually the people who find what you're sharing interesting? So that's the first thing. Now, if you went through the first question and you kind of go like, no, they're interacting a lot with me and stuff like that, which brings me to the second question, is that, are you actually providing them ample opportunity to actually work with you? So a lot of people just were out there giving and sharing and stuff like that. But are you sharing your are you sharing your offers? Are you telling people how they can actually work with you? So every time, quite often whenever I ask questions, people like pause for a second and kind of go like, every now and then I, maybe during promotion thread, I, put up an offer and stuff like that. Yeah, but how often do you do that? Like, we want to attract people, but doesn't mean that you just sit down there and wait for people to, contact you or beg you to work with them and stuff. So if you don't already have an offer, think about it. You have to have an offer for people in order for people to work with you, right? And not just, not something huge. So maybe some of you have like a big coaching package or something that goes on for 2 months, 3 months, and whatever not. Not just something like that, because before people actually commit to your bigger offers, they need to also get a feel, or maybe just, get on something that is more introductory. Right? So do you have little consumable offers that people could actually, start working with you already? Is there a once-off session that you can provide? Is there a short digital course that you can, actually promote and sell? And also, you have to be consistent. So, and I wanted to wrap this up with 4 points, which, you really have to.
I love it.
Yeah, exactly. So there are 4 major points which you need to do in order to make this work for you, right? So I'm not the first person, and I'm definitely not the last person who say that, getting clients and leads in Facebook definitely works, right? I built my business like that. A lot of people built their business like that too. But also a lot of people failed in, doing that as well, right? And there are a few reasons to it. So in order to make this work, right? So the first point you have to think about, so the 3 steps, right, that we talked about just now. So just a quick recap is, you have to find where your dream clients. Step 1 is to find where are they hanging out in, right? And then you join those groups. Step 2 is you have to put out messages that will attract them to you. So you want to share your journey, you want to share your valuable things, you want to help out, you want to answer first, you want to give, and give, right? And step 3 is to connect, which is really mean opening up your, all channels for people to easily access, your offers, to contact you. Do you have a Facebook fan page which is connected to your personal profile? A lot of people don't do that. I don't know why. And, when people find what you're sharing in the groups are valuable, the first thing, the most natural thing anyone would do is click on your profile. And then they want to find out what is it that you do.
I had that happen today where there was somebody, I was sort of interested in her, and I clicked on her Facebook profile, and I'm like, I can't.
And then there was nothing.
What this woman's about from just scrolling through her feed. And I'm like, I wonder, I was thinking it because I try to be very conscientious about making sure that the things show people who I am. And I just thought, you have to stop posting like you're just like a normal person. You have to start showing people who you are, that when they're going to click and they're going to see your timeline, they're going to see, oh, this person is all about yoga, and that means that you have to do certain things.
Or we also understand that a lot of people are very private, so that you don't want to mix your personal profile with your business. But the least you can do is at least link your fan page or business fan page to your personal profile. So, in the left-hand side, there is a section where it says occupation, right? So what your work is about. So link your fan page to there, so at least people have a place to click to check you out, to, check out your services and products and stuff like that. If you're not making it easy for your people to find you, you can't blame them for not finding you, right? Because, a lot of us are really good at Googling and stalking people online, but not that bothered, so you have to be really good for people to really jump through hoops to find you. So make it easy for them. Make it easy for them to find your fan page or your website, right? So you can link your website and your personal profile too. You can do that easily. So make it easy for them to check you out, right? And to give offer to make it easy for them to access your offer. So you want to show up regularly in the promotion threads, just, promoting something. So now you've already given enough. Like if you're getting a lot, you've earned your right to promote. And this is not really promoting. I don't want you to think about it as promoting, because when you've built up your value, right, when people know that this is what you do and they feel drawn towards you, it's your responsibility to tell people how they can actually work with you. Because a lot of people are scratching their head at the moment thinking, okay, so this person is sharing so much great value, but what is this person actually do? Yeah, what is it? How can I take the relationship one step further, really? So a lot of us, we don't think about that, right? We kind of think, yeah, there's this website. I know there's a website. Yeah, someone's going to come to the website. But if you don't share your website link or you share about your offer, people don't know. So a lot of times, right, when people say that a lot of their efforts not resulting in sales and leads and stuff like that, the first thing is to ask yourself, are you actually actively promoting the offers and links, right?
And that is like, having run that discussion board for so long, what happened to me was exactly, I wasn't telling people. Like, I really thought like everybody would ask me to come and teach workshops. And it dawned on me after many years that like I never told anybody I wanted to do workshops. I just assumed that everybody would want me to do it because they know that just by the fact that I showed up and I was running this big discussion board, that they would assume that that's what I wanted to do. And then I realized, and this is the most obvious thing, but not everybody in the world actually wants to be running workshops. And I would start reading and people would be like, well, I would never, ever want to run a workshop. And I'm like, but why? Because that's what I want to do. And it never occurred to me that I just never told people.
Yeah, that's it. Because you assume that people, that's the natural next step, right? So if anyone wants your service, they should already be inquiring about it by now. But the thing is, people don't read our mind. They don't know what we have on offer. That's the thing, right? So we have to help them out. We have to make it easy for people to access to us, right? So that's the thing about connecting. So connecting, opening all your channels, let people know how they can work with you, and also reach out and connect with other people personally, right? Say, build relationship. A lot of my friends and relationships that I built online resulted in a lot of referrals, right? Or these people they may or may not become my client or my student, but they've certainly referred people to me, because when they see other people with this need, and they'll be like, oh, I know a person, I know Carmen does this. You can go and talk to her and stuff like that, right? So that's about connecting, right? And then which brings us to the wrapping up part, right? So 4 points, 4 major points that you must do in order to make this work for you, all right? So number 1 is you need to be consistent. You need to be consistent in both showing up and also in the messages that you're putting out there. All right. It's okay if you're going to change your message over time, because a lot of people are still, evolving. Our business evolve. We pivot and stuff like that. That's okay. But you have to be consistently showing up. And, and because a lot of people, what they do is they'll go to a group, they show up for maybe, I don't know, one week or something. And then they kind of feel like, oh, okay, this is not really working, or I'm not getting much out of this, or I'm just bored, or I just got sidetracked. And then you go and disappear for 2 weeks. And then you decided, hey, I'll come back in again, and then you come back and do another 1 week or 2 weeks again before you disappear.
I have a wonderful example of that. I said that I used to do website, and this is where I learned this. I designed a website, and she's a member of our group, Catherine Kerrigan. Yeah. And her website, she had newsletters going back, I think it was at that time, like 15 years, month after month after month. She had been, started mailing them out. And then she had, as soon as the web hit, she started emailing them out. And then she had them on her website. And it was just astounding to see, wow, month after month after month, she was there delivering her message. She was so consistent, and she's still doing it. I think everybody should go and look at her website and see somebody who's just, really consistently built, a following and been so dependable. I see that people don't understand how valuable it is to always be there, because you have to be there the moment somebody wants to connect with you.
Exactly. And also it's like any relationship, right? So you think about the friends that you've connected with in the past, if you keep up the connection, if you see this person, if you guys catch up on a regular basis, if you guys talk to each other, your relationship deepens, right? As opposed to maybe you met someone and then, don't see that person for another year or something. This person is not going to be someone special for you, right? So being consistent is so that people can keep seeing you showing up. And imagine this. So if you are selling the same service as the next person, you are showing up consistently versus the other person is just showing up every now and then, right? People are going to feel much more connected to you as opposed to the next person, because they see you more, and it's psychological. Naturally, they feel like they know you. They feel like they're more familiar with you. You are their friend, as opposed to the other person is really just a stranger. So people will only want to work with people who they know, like, and trust. And if you can build that.
Also want people to know is they are your friends. And that's the coolest thing about it. Like, I think when I heard all this, like, networking stuff, and I thought, like, oh, this sounds sort of awful, like you're going to use people, but actually they're your friends.
Yeah, you have to. That's why we said we don't want the word marketing or connecting, marketing or networking in this equation at all. I want you to just throw that out of the window. If you're going to start using this, you have to think about connecting, right? You have to replace the word to connecting, because that is the only way it will work. You have to be in there to build relationship and connections. And a lot of times, this is how you don't be all salesy and spammy, but still get people to refer people to you, to come and say, hey, I want to work with you, or to come and say, how can I work with you, right?
And that's the perfect note for us to end on, because we yogis know all about connection. So
exactly.
Naturally good at connection and
exactly,
because we're just naturally, that's what yoga is about. It is about connecting. People
that's why
already have these skills just from doing yoga, being a part of learning how to open yourself up to being connected to people. There's not a disconnect between marketing and being a yogi. It's a false idea that we have that we can't be in business. We're actually natural business people.
Yeah, exactly. And this is your time, because now it's all about connecting, right? Now the push marketing doesn't work anymore. People filter out messages like that. So they only want to connect and see things that's of a deeper meaning. So this is your time. This is definitely the strategy that you can use. All right. And the second point, right? Okay. Remember 4 points, right? Second point.
I'm sorry.
You need to have a Facebook fan page for your business. If you don't have it, drop everything right now and go make one, right? It doesn't matter if you want to change later on, that's okay. You don't need to have a website yet. You don't even need to have no email list, no website, no nothing, that's okay. But you need to have a business fan page, right? Because that's how people can check you out. And how they can actually learn more about you. But as you start showing up in the groups, people will want to learn more about you. Give them a place to learn more about you. All right. So that's second point. Third point, like we said over and over again just now, ditch the word marketing and ditch the word networking and replace it with connecting. So we want to connect with people. We want to build relationship. We want to build this network of people who's going to help you grow your business, right? And a lot of people doubt that whether or not it's worth me spending time building all this connection stuff. But I know that you guys will understand. I know that you guys will understand how important it is, because they will give you the return of investment of like 10-fold, 20-fold, because people will when they will start putting things your way. They will start, referring people to you, and, you will start having like for example, Suzanne and I, we are collaborating, right? We are working on this thing together. We're sharing our skills. We are sharing our expertise, right?
And we learn more about each other just in the process of doing that. Since they're now
exactly. So this is a connecting. This is connection.
This is connecting right now. We're connecting.
Exactly. That's what we're doing. And you can't do all this by yourself. Because, we all need connection to make things happen, right? And point number 4, which we've already mentioned before as well, the last point, last but not least, right? You must offer and sell. Must do that. Because if you don't put your offers out there, people don't read your mind, and, they may or may not. I mean, a lot of times people will go and say, hey, how can I work with you? I really love the things that you share. How can I work with you? Right? But you don't want to wait for that to happen. You want to make it really easy for people to go, yes, this is the thing I want to do. She's the person, or he's the person that I can go for. There.
And you can sell things on your Facebook page. There's a way to put products on your Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. So they have there's a, like you said, there's a tab where you can put in your services or your products and stuff like that. Or, I would just come up with a very simple offer that you can, promote every month or something, and just focus on promoting that thing. And then you can surround all your messages and your posts around that thing, right? So say, for example, if you want to talk about journaling, or you want to talk about mindfulness, and you have this little maybe a boot camp that you can have, or a weekend online retreat that you can have, or a workshop, or like a course that a small digital course that you're doing about mindfulness. If that's what you have, then, you know, keep talking about it all month. You know, talk about it in your messages, share with people the techniques, the hacks, the strategies, what they can use to be more mindful. And then when you present your offer every week, or when there is an opportunity to, then people will feel like, hey, that really clicks, because your messages already draw them in, make them interested. And then there you go, you presented your offer and they'll be like, that's perfect.
And this
you
is
know?
another thing I love about this whole business model. When I learned about this, when I got online, it's like, there's a business model that's based on what I'm already doing, which is just going out and sharing what I love.
Yeah.
And this idea that you're this business model of like, just give, share, share, share. And then what happens is actually you start to learn, like, there's things I need to structure for people. There's things that
Yes.
I could not just give a little 5-minute live video and explain to people or write a post. They actually need to work with me. Those are the things you need to sell, the things that you honestly
Yes.
just could not support. And then you can give away lots of content, just, you know, the little content. But if somebody needs to make a commitment to you in order for you to teach it to them, you know, that's the thing you sell.
Yeah. And definitely also a lot of people will be like, oh, what if I'm sharing too much? What if I'm giving too much that, you know, then people don't feel the need of buying my thing. But the thing is, you can never, like, you know, how can you, like, you can never bring the real big result for people in just one little tiny Facebook post, or just this 5-minute video or
And
something.
they're
That's
not
not
going to
possible.
go through, you like, let's say you show up, you know, day after day and you blog. Nobody's going through your whole freaking blog.
Exactly. And also a lot of times the thing is like a journey, right? So you're taking people from a point A to point B, for, you know, from where they are to where they want to be, right? And like you said, not a lot of people would follow your thing in exact sequence so that, you know, they can actually get to there. So all your courses or your programs and stuff like that is really a process to take people through the journey. Right? It's an organized process. So you have to first go through step 1, and then step 2, and then step 3, and then step 4. And that is what you are selling. And all
like
the little values
now,
you're
like,
putting out there.
you're able to give us an overview of your steps, so we know exactly what would happen if we were to come and work with you. But we also know that, like, instead of just talking about step 1 for like 15 minutes, we're going to actually sit there and work for, you know, a week or a month.
Exactly. Because it takes so much
together.
more than, you know, a few posts or a few chats to actually bring upon a big transformation or a big result. And people know that, right? People who are, you know, willing to get that transformation, they understand the value of that, right? And yeah, so you don't ever have to worry about that, really. Just share whatever you have, and it will really help you hone in on your message and really figure out what is your real passion, what is it that you want to help people achieve, and what value is it that you want to give. Okay?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm actually didn't halt the recording, but please stay on. We still have Siobhan and my friend Jan also joined us. So let me just wrap up and let everybody know that we are putting down in the comments below this YouTube video, in the description, we will have the link to this handout that has these steps in it, and also information about how you can get in touch with Carmen and work with her, as well as the Sadhana Catalog and all our beautiful products for yogis, and please join the Sadhana Facebook page, which will also be linked down in the description. Thanks for joining us tonight. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.